So David, we're going live.
Yeah. Well, good morning. We're back in committee again after a break. This morning we have David Kenyon with us. He's the owner or manager of the Nitty Gritty Grain Company and down in Addison County, right, Dave?
Chittenden County, Charlotte.
Chittenden, yeah. And we will introduce ourselves, Dave, and then we'll get started with you.
Morning, David. Brian Collmore, representing the Rutland District.
Hi, Irene Renner, Chittenden North, which also includes Fairfax.
Hi, Brian Campion, Bennington County. Good to see you.
And I'm Bobby Starr, chair, and live in and represent Orleans County and 4 towns in Caledonia County. So welcome this morning. We had and heard from, yes.
Ellen Carey.
No, we heard from yesterday, wasn't it? From the lady from
Heather.
Heather Darby.
Oh, right.
The extension service, and she was talking to us about local dairy farms and other farms that are growing crops to be milled here in Vermont, and we wanted to chat with you about how that's all working out and what you use for beans and in product and how the sales good, bad, or indifferent, and just to get a feel for if we could convert some of our dairy land into grain crops. If that, how you're doing with that, if you're getting enough grain to keep busy, and just a general discussion.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds great. So I came back to the farm about 5 years ago. My dad's been a farmer for his whole life. I'm a 8th generation farmer. We started growing grains about 30 years ago. And then Nitty Gritty was started in 2008 with a value add producer grant. And so we grow a couple types of winter wheat, and then a couple types of corn, and then we have quite a bit of hay as part of our organic rotation. We take it over to Champlain Valley Milling over in Willsboro, New York. It's actually only about 10 miles from the farm, and they do custom milling for us. So we have a few different types of flour that we sell, the most popular being white flour, which requires a roller mill. And then we also sell wheat berries, cornmeal. We have like a pancake and muffin mix, and then corn berries as well. So we sell to a lot of local restaurants, co-ops, groceries, and then also a few bakeries as well that buy bulk wheat berries. And stone ground milling has become more popular in the last 10 years or so. And New American Stone Mills, which is in Elmore. And then they also have Elmore Mountain Bread. So they produce mills there. And so we started to see those kind of around the area more and more, both in Vermont and then around New England and actually all over the world. And so they're the people that buy kind of straight wheat berries from us. I would say that sales have steadily risen kind of since Nitty Gritty was started. My aunt Catherine does all of the packaging of it. So we take it to Champlain Valley Milling in the large 2,000-pound totes, and then bring it back here in 50-pound bags, and we sell it from 50-pound bags down to 1-pound packages. And Catherine does all the packaging for everything that gets broken down to 50-pound bags and smaller.
Yeah, and I mean, do you get enough grain to see grain from places so that you keep your customers well stocked? Or is the demand higher than what you produce, or how's that?
It's pretty well matched right now. So we grow everything that we sell, unless we have, a crop failure. This year with the weather being so awful, we did have our soft white winter wheat didn't make the quality metrics, and so we had to buy some of that in from New York State. It's pretty infrequent that happens, but occasionally it does. But currently we're kind of pretty well matched between what we grow and then what we can sell.
Yeah.
So there's actually two separate businesses. We have Aurora Farms, which is the growing aspect of it, and then Nitty Gritty, which is the retail and sales side of it.
Right. Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So welcome, David. You mentioned restaurants. Do you have retail sales in like supermarkets too, or on that
Yep.
level? And I'm kind of curious how big an operation it is, how many people you employ, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so we do sell to like grocery stores, co-ops, and some smaller like kind of specialty stores
Yeah.
with the 1 pound packages. So it's a pretty even mix of, from restaurants to grocery stores and co-ops. And as far as employees, it's really just my dad is still involved, and then my aunt, and that's it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Must be working hard.
Yeah, I work a lot.
So if you think of what the crops that you buy, how many acres do you think of land would be involved in growing your products that you need? And so, I mean, does the future look good, or all of yours is sold locally pretty much? Or
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty much all local. I mean, we do a little bit kind of around New England, but nowhere outside of New England. We work with a couple distributors, Black River Produce, so I guess now it's Reinhardt, and then a couple other smaller distributors that obviously distribute our stuff around. As far as acreage, we only have about 150 acres of grain every year, just because of our kind of land base that's available in the crop rotation. So it's not a huge amount. And, I think that the weather is always the biggest variable for us. And it's my biggest concern because, I've just kind of come back into farming in the last 5 years and want to make a career out of it. And so that's really my biggest long-term concern is the variability of the weather and what's happening there.
what kind of growing season does it take to grow some of the crops that you need?
So
How many-
the winter wheat, we plant that in the fall, typically in September. It comes up out of the ground, usually 6 inches tall or so, give or take a little bit, and then it goes dormant for the winter. And then in the spring it tillers, and then we harvest it early to mid-July. And then we typically do 2 years of wheat, and then we rotate it back into a legume type crop. And then the corn, obviously we plant that in the spring and then harvest that late fall.
So you do crop rotation then, and what about the soil? Does the soil help and stay strong that way? Like you see some farms seem to grow corn on the same fields year after year. So do you have more crop rotation growing beans and winter wheat and the seeds or the produce that you use to make your products?
Yeah, the crop rotation is critical for being organic, just for weed control and then also for soil fertility. We're a little bit spread out here. We have some fields in Shelburne, some in Charlotte, and then actually some down in Moncton at my dad's house, which is also our family farm down there. So we have all different types of soil and drainage. So we go from like a nice, beautiful loam to the heaviest clay you've ever seen. So it's a wide range, but definitely the rotation being organic is really the best way we have to control weeds and then also fertility.
So all of your product is organic then?
Yep, everything's certified organic.
Yeah. So you got kind of a niche market there, or?
Yeah, we've definitely I think been doing it longer than most people in the state. I start to see more people growing grains, but there's really only a handful of people that grow organic grains for human consumption in the state. 10 years ago, I really wouldn't see that many combines around now, but now that some of the larger dairies are getting into beans and more corn, you definitely see a lot more of the infrastructure than you used to.
A lot of their products that they, like the beans, it's for their own use, so, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned in the discussions that there's a mill being maybe proposed or built south of you. Is that for different grains to be processed at? Do you know anything about that?
I believe that's the plan. It seems like it's been kind of in discussion for a few years now, so I don't really know exactly where it's at the moment. But yeah, there's definitely been a lot of long-term discussions about having a mill in Vermont, but a mill to produce white flour is substantially larger investment than whole wheat flour, because whole wheat flour you can make on a stone mill that you could, get into for like $50,000, whereas a roller mill you're probably in the $1 million plus range for a mill. So I think it's that's the biggest holdup at this point.
So that would be certainly not organic, I would not presume. It would be more for big commercial feed companies that do cattle feed to buy from, rather than or large distributors to buy from, than somebody that's got the niche market of organic.
Yeah, I think the one that's being proposed in Ferrisburg is supposed to be for human consumption, and I don't know if it would be organic or conventional. And then as far as the commercial aspect of it, I'm not really sure what is being proposed.
But sounds like it's a costly process to set this place up. So they're gonna have to put some product through it to make it financially feasible, I would think.
Yeah, I don't know if they're planning on doing a roller mill or a stone mill. I imagine it would have to be a stone mill, because I just don't see the volume of grain being grown in Vermont currently to support a roller mill.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. David, who's your competitor then? I mean, are there other people, you mentioned there may be 4 or 5 others that are doing this. Are you in a competitive status with those folks, or do you pretty much do what you want to do and everybody kind of leaves themselves alone to do their thing?
I would say it's kind of somewhere in the middle. Like, some of the newer people who have started growing grains probably eat into our sales a little bit, but it's a pretty comfortable relationship. pretty much all of us are members of the Northern Grain Growers,
Okay,
or we just changed the name, but so essentially we all know each other and kind of, you know, meet every couple months and talk about it and have an annual conference. So everyone's like friendly with each other.
yeah, okay. Are they close by you?
No, I'd say we're the only ones in this area. There's a couple guys that have retired or phased out of it in the last couple of years. My dad's turning 70 this year, and so kind of his contemporaries have started to slow down and get out of it. And then there seems to be another generation that's closer to my age in the Northeast Kingdom, and then in Central Vermont, but kind of on this side of Green Mountains in the Champlain Valley, we seem to be the biggest one over in this area.
So you're supporting 2 or 3 families and plus the ones that you buy from, I would presume, right?
Yeah, we don't really buy in much of anything unless we have a crop failure, because otherwise we grow everything that we're selling.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
On the 150 acres or so?
Yeah, we cover about 600 acres total, but it's only about 150 acres of grain on any given year. With the organic rotation, it's like 2 years of either grain or wheat or corn, and then it's 3 or 4 years of a legume. So it's definitely weighted towards the legume side of it. And so we work with a couple of local dairies. They come and buy some of our hay ground, and then we also bale some of our own, and kind of try to figure out what to do with all the hay.
Yeah. So it all works out anyways, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
Definitely not in it to make money, but you know, it's good to make money, but I'm not in it to get rich, I guess I should say.
Well, there's very few of those businesses in Vermont where you get rich.
Yep, that's true.
Other questions, Brian?
No, this is great. Thank you.
And so, so you do little 50-pound bags mostly, and little 1-pound bags for, in some cases, for the smaller shops.
Yeah, so we do 1-pound packages of cornmeal and our pancake and cornbread mix, and then we do 2-pound, 5-pound, and 25-pound bags of, and 50-pound bags of our flour, and then 5 and 25 and 50 of cornmeal as well.
It sounds like you keep your wife pretty busy.
My wife's actually not involved in business. My aunt.
Oh, John does the packaging. Yeah. Well, you better keep her healthy.
Yeah, exactly. Now, my wife has a store in Burlington, Commandeer, and she and her mom own, and so they sell some of our stuff up there.
Oh, that's great. What's the name of the store again?
It's Commandeer.
Oh, great.
Yep. It's on the corner of College and the other street, but it's right across from where the movie theater.
Yeah.
So do you do much through the Department of Ag, or do you deal with them much on anything, or?
Not too much. I mean, being organic, you know, the certification, we work with NOFA on that. But my dad's been doing it so long, that's pretty straightforward. And then Heather Darby is pretty much the first person I call if I have any questions or issues with anything related to agronomy, because she's just amazingly helpful and always available and just a huge advocate for farmers. So I can't say enough good things about Heather and the extension. They do all of our testing for quality up at the lab at UVM. And it's always great because we can get it turned around quickly and make sure it's all right. And so that's a huge help for us.
Yeah.
And obviously work with the FSA some as well. And
No, Heather certainly knows her stuff, and and you know we appreciate her knowledge, and every time she comes, it's kind of exciting to hear from her. And
yeah,
about-
she knows her stuff, and she's such a hard worker, and she's always available.
Yeah.
Could call her any day of the week at any time, and she'll pick up and answer whatever questions we have. And if she doesn't know it, she'll find it and get back to us.
That's great.
No. So I don't know of anything that's on our plate to deal with your type of stuff, business, but we certainly want to keep our ag land where it was dairy, keep that productive and keep those people in business. And if some of them can switch to grow good grain crops that could be used locally, it keeps them on their farm, keeps trucks off the road from the Midwest or rail cars idle out there, and keeps our people busy here. That's where environmentally, it's a good thing for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the initial reason that Nitty Gritty was kind of started. Was my dad was growing grains, but he was competing with the commodity market on price, and it's just not viable to have 150 acres of grain in Champlain Valley competing with a 10,000 acre farm in the Midwest for price. And so that was really what the intent and goal of it is to bring more of the money back to Vermont and support Vermonters.
Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you brought up the name. Who came up with the name, and what does it, what does it mean? I'm just curious. I know there's a band, so I got to figure somebody took it from the band. I don't know.
I think I wasn't at the discussion, but I think they were just spitballing ideas and just getting down to the essence of food, and flour and Nitty Gritty just really stuck. So
Okay.
Yeah.
You have heard of the band, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Fishing in the Dark is the famous song.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I've used your product, so I wanted to say thanks. It's great
Oh,
to see
great.
shelves, and
That's good.
I can vouch that it exists.
Yeah, good.
It's a good
Well,
thing.
thank you for the support.
Any other questions?
No, it's terrific. So,
Well, anything else that you'd like to tell us, Dave, or talk about?
I guess the one thing that I'd like to just mention is, how the state can regulate and support Vermont products that are advertised as Vermont products, ensure that they have Vermont grown ingredients in them. I think that's really important, and I think it's just going to continue to become more and more important. So whatever you can do to help push that along is always helpful.
Yeah. Well, we would certainly hope that if something's selling as a Vermont product, that there's Vermont products in it, or majority thereof. So we can certainly look into that but if you ever run across an issue that you feel should be talked about, we're all ears. Be glad to hear about it.
Thank you.
I
Appreciate it.
know the maple people pay quite a lot of attention to, Vermont maple syrup.
Yep.
Make sure that's not adulterated and corn syrup put in, like buying out a Quebec, bringing it here and repackaging it. I'm sure. Yeah, so, anything else from any committee members?
No.
Great.
No, that was very, very helpful.
Thanks, David.
Appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for all your work.
Well, thanks, again, again, if you ever have anything that you feel, we should hear about, feel free to contact us.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, thanks.
Take care.
All right. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Is there anything else?
No, that was good. It is interesting. How do we keep people buying stuff, keep our money here, keep the bucks here, buy the ingredients here? I think we're getting a lot better. I know this committee's worked on it for a long time. It's hard.
Well, if there's anything else, we
No.
can